and get this recording started. The first thing that I want to talk about is something that I actually meant to talk about before and kept forgetting to talk about. So apologies for that. Let me just go ahead and set this up on my screen so y'all can see everything over here. Let's do this and put you over here and put this down here like that. There we go. Cool. So the first thing we're going to talk about here is something to do with drum racks. And what this is how to set up some trap hi-hats in drum racks. And I know y'all have heard me talk about trap and my kind of dislike for it, but I want to help y'all be the best trap producers you can be if that's what you want to do. So here I'm going to show you how to do some cool stuff. So the first thing to do with trap really is we're just going to make a little drum rack here. I'm just going to do two things. I'm going to make one kit that's got my kick drum on it and one kit that's got my snare drum on it. And I guess we could call this portion how to make a trap drum kit. I don't know. So here's a couple things we're gonna talk about this. Let's go ahead. Let's actually make these drum sounds individually, shall we? So I'm just gonna throw a drum rack in here. I'm gonna call this one my bass drum, and we're gonna throw a drum rack in here, and we're gonna call this one my snare drum. Let's make another two tracks. Let's make another track here. This one's gonna be my hi-hat. And then this next track I'm going to make, whoops, this one here, is going to be our bass. And so, set that up correctly. There we go, bass. I'm going to get rid of these audio channels here. And yeah, this is enough for now. I mean, we're not going to get super deep into this. We're just going to talk a little bit about how these things set up. So the first thing I'm going to do for my kick drum here is I'm going to find where are you? Bass, drum, kick. There we go, kick. And we're going to go down. I'm just going to type in the word 808 because a lot of these things are made from 808s. And we're just going to listen to these here. Turn this down a little bit. There we go. Now I'm missing, there's one that I used to really love. It's not in here right now. But something like this is actually pretty fine. So I'm going to throw this down. We could throw a couple of these in here. So here's this one. Not too bad. We could use that one. Let's grab another one in here, though, real quick as well. So we have a couple of options to choose from. I'm just going to turn that down just a little bit. And let's see. Let's grab this huge one here. We may not use this one, but where'd you go? You're loud. Hold on, turn that one down. There we go. Now, the thing is, this one here is a really good one. We can use this one for the bass. We can actually use this one for the bass over here later. But let's go ahead and just shape this real quick. What I'm going to do here for the shape is I'm going to go ahead and adjust the end point. Let me turn on my little circle thing here so you can see what my cursor's doing. I'm going to grab the end point over here and drag this over. And I'm going to zoom in, and we're going to adjust the fade out down here to make it, because basically what we want to do is we want to make this so it's a short sound, even shorter than that. So here, let's just zoom out and zoom in like this. There we go. Because when you're doing trap, your kick drum does not need to be so long. I'm gonna get rid of that pop on the beginning here. There we go. That sounds pretty good. I like that one better, but we've got a second one here. And the reason why is because your bass is coming from the bass, not from the kick. The kick is just like an attack to have in there, whereas the bass is going to have all your low end in there, right? So we got that. We got this one here. We got that one there if we want that one. Let me turn the volume up a little bit more because I turned it down a little bit too much. There we go. I don't want it to, you hear if I go up, hear how that's like distorting in the right ear, right? So I'm going to turn it down a little bit. The reason why it's distorting in the right ear is because I have this plug-in over here that emulates console here, and if I put up to -7 or something like that for the volume, it's actually distorting the input on this. So cool. All right, good. So I don't want to distort the input on this one here. Awesome. So I got those two there. Let's grab a snare drum here. We're going to go and grab, still got the 808 search function up here in the top. We're going to go over here and grab my snares. Let's listen to these. Okay, cool. So let's grab that one here. And what we can do, if we want to, we can actually stick this on here, and on this one track we can actually put a couple of different snares on here. So what we're gonna do here with this is, hold on, let me just grab, hold on, let me just put Dempsey in here. What is up, Dempsey? How you doing? There we go. Cool. Nice to join us. We should probably talk during Zoom, Dempsey. Anyway, so I got this in here. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put this down here. I'm going to put a clap in here as well. Let's use that one there. I'm going to drag it down into this clip. Now, what I did here is I turned the... Let's see. I don't want to put it there. Hold on. Let's see. Let's put this right here. Put this here. I'm going to hit Command G on that. Is that going to work? Command G over here. There we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it so this clap is actually on this one here. And this is going to be my main snare drum main. And what I want with the snare drum main is I want the snare drum main to be a group. Remember we talked about instrument racks and effects racks, stuff like that. Well, this sound here can be, come on, there's a way to do, I can hold down Command when I drag it on here. Yeah, so you hold down Command when you drag it on, and it turns this into a rack. So this snare drum main that I just renamed here, this is one here. Let's see, this one here. This one has both of these in it. So now I can go over here and I can say, all right, I'm gonna turn this down a little bit first of all. So there's my clap. And there's that. And I'm going to actually pitch my clap down a little bit. Go over here. And I'm going to adjust some of the timing on here. There we go. So we're getting like the body of that clap. Let's pitch that snare drum down a little bit too, because I want my snare drum to be this. I want this snare. Well, you're very long. I want this snare drum. Yeah. Also, make sure you pay attention to stuff like that, because you see how long this was. There's no reason for it to be all that extra space over there. So I'm just gonna put it here, put a little fade on it, so it. There we go. Now this one here, I don't want my snare drum to be super low, high on this one here. I just want it to be a nice meaty snare drum. And what I can do with this chain is I can also throw an effect on here. Now, an effect that I've kind of like gotten into recently that I love is this one here called thermal. I am a huge fan of thermal right now. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this effect, I'm going to drop it right onto the snare drum here. And it's going to put it at the end of the snare drum pad chain here. And here, let's just go ahead and click on this, go into drums, go into, which snare shaper? Nope. That one gives us too much sub. Crazy. No. And I can just go through here and find a sound that I like. You can see I've marked a couple here for my 808s and stuff, and I'll throw that on for the bass later. So here's the original. Adding some like kind of low end in here. That's a cool sound. So we got that in there. Now, what I'm gonna do is we're gonna take the snare drum and we're gonna let's do the hi-hat first before we move over to that snare drum and do some extra funky stuff with that snare. So in here with our let's go back to our drums and let's grab some hi-hats. I'm gonna put the word 808 in here again, and over here with the hi-hats. There we go. So this one's pretty cool. I'm gonna grab both of these. I'm gonna put this one in first, and I'm just making these all into their individual drum pads right now. So there's that one, and let's put that one in here as well. So I got these. Cool. Let's actually. I don't like that click on the end. You see how there's like a click? There we go. Yeah, I like it better without the click. Now, what I'm going to do in here is we're going to do this thing that kind of started this all. Actually, you know what? Before we do that, let's do our bass. So the bass. Sorry, I keep like going all over the place here because I'm just, this is fun stuff. But let's go in here to our kick drum again, and let's grab this. Not that one. This huge one. There we go. So with this one here, I'm not actually going to put it into a drum kit. I'm just going to drag it straight onto the track. And now, there it is right there. And I'm going to go down here to voices. I'm going to change this voices to 1. I'm going to turn the retrigger. I'm going to leave the retrigger on. And I'm going to change this to 1 shot down here. We're going to talk more about this stuff once we get deeper into sampling, which is in a couple of weeks. We haven't really gone into all this stuff with the simpler instrument down here, and there's a good reason for that. It's because we're going to focus on this when we talk about sampling. So right? Now, this is a really good sample to use for this because it's a long sample already. It sounds really good just by itself. Let me turn the snap off so it goes all the way to the end. I'm also going to go in here and I'm going to fade up a little bit to get rid of that pop on the beginning. You can shape these sounds however you want. And we don't really need all that pop on the beginning, because we're going to get that pop from our kick drum a little bit later on. So we got that here. Awesome, that sounds really good. And if you have a really good sample like this, and this one comes with Ableton Live, so you already have a really good sample like this, you don't really need to do a whole lot of work to it. It already sounds really good. The only thing I would really do in here is maybe do a side chain between the bass drum and the bass here, which we can talk about a little bit later. But if you don't have a really good bass sound like this, let's go ahead and get rid of this so I can just show you what you can do. Let's grab here. Okay, so here's an A, which is actually the one of the other. So let's put this here, the C one. And the C, you can hear it's a little bit loud. So I'm gonna turn my volume down here. No, it's just my headphones. Okay. Okay, cool. So that's pretty cool. Let's go ahead and change this to 1 shot again. And this back down to -12. Okay, and this is pretty cool, but we want to actually control this. And this other one here that we were using before already had compression and stuff on it. So let's compress this one. Let's kind of control this one a little bit more. And let's do it using the stuff that comes with Ableton Live. So what we're going to do here is I'm just going to go over here to my EQ and compressors. I'm going to put a glue compressor on this. And we're going to shape this a little bit with the threshold here, like that, makeup gain. And what happens when I do this is it actually it gives it sustain. This is a nice long sound anyway. It's a nice long sustained 808 kick drum, 808 drum sound. So we don't need to actually make it longer with the warp, which is something you can do. You can put this warp into complex mode, and now, oh, it's not. That doesn't sound good at all. But you hear how much more sustain it's got. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that at all. Though it doesn't sound. Oh, the tone sounds pretty good with this one. Yeah, ish, kind of. I think it's better just to have it just be warp turned off. It's going to be a little bit shorter. If you really want this to be super, super long, we could compress it even more and kind of like bring up some things, put some stuff in. So here, let's do this. The only problem is with this, we're kind of sucking out some of that low end. But you hear how much we're kind of, how long it is now. And I don't think people are really going to notice too much. Another thing we can do is we can like go in here and try to loop a certain section, which with simpler, it's a little bit hard to loop things exactly how you want them to be. If I was going to actually try to loop this, I would use it in Contact or Sampler if you have Ableton Live Suite. But this compressor here, it's helping us to sustain this sound. Now, it's okay, but it doesn't have any kind of character to it. It's just like now it's just like a sustained 808 sound, which is whatever. There's two things we can use. We can use some kind of a saturator plugin. Ableton Live comes with a plugin called Saturator. So we can go in here, we can go to our audio effects, go down here to, what is it? It's under Drive and Color, put a saturator on here. The one I like is called a warmer. Whoops, no, I didn't want to do that. Stop it. Can we undo the save? We cannot undo the save. Okay, here, let me go back to where... Okay, so... I didn't mean to save that. Oh, so annoying. Okay, a bit warmer here. This one's a good one here. And this one will give us a little bit of character. And it's okay. It's not great. It's not that much. If we wanted to really kind of character it up, let's see what happens when we throw this overdrive on here. Now, the problem with this kind of stuff is we don't want to put too much of this on here. Let's keep the dry wet down. And maybe give it some higher. There we go. Something like that. And then maybe put a filter on here afterwards to kind of even control it a little bit more. Hear how I'm controlling the color with this filter here. And let's change this over here to PRD. Isn't that not a bad one? Turn the drive up. Okay, now we're like distorting out the sides over here. Now, is there a way we can kind of get away from that? Besides just turn the drive down? I guess not. Let me get away from the... Yeah, the drive is actually pushing it really. It's like too far now with that drive. So, I mean, it's like a balancing act. If we push up the dry wet on this one here. There we go, let's do that. Turn that down. There we go. So we're just getting a hint of it here. So now we got pretty cool sound. It's okay. And I've done this, kind of stuff for years and years and years, and it does a pretty good job, but I'm not a huge fan of this here. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna group these together real quick and save these as a preset, and we're gonna call this one 808 sub effects 808 raw sub effects. Awesome. Okay, there we go. I'm gonna save this And there we go, boom. And I'm gonna get rid of this now. So what I'm gonna do is, instead of using that, I'm going to use thermal. Thermal is one of my new favorite things from output. And here now, there we go. Oh, let's bring the that compressor back to give it the sustain. Hold on a second. Well, since we're using third-party plugins for this, let me not use that one. Let me use the 76. There we go. We'll use this one from Native Instruments. There we go. There we go. Awesome. Or we can do this one here. This one here, it's let's change the output. There we go. Pull that down a little bit. Awesome. You hear how it's like instant character? It's instantly doing what we were adding a whole bunch of effects into for the other side, and we can dial this in however we want. I really. There we go. Cool. Turn this down just a little bit. There we go. Yeah, cool. And it's automatic flavor. It's really cool. Thermal, I don't know how much thermal costs. It's not free. It's not too expensive. I use it on snare drums. I use it on my bass drums a lot. I use it on instruments that I want to give it some kind of like extra oomph to it. There's a lot of really cool little features in there. So, highly recommended. All right, so we got this in here. So we got our bass drum, we got our snare drum, we got our hi-hat, and we got our bass. Now let's put this stuff together. So we're going to go in here. Let's change this to like 140, and what I'm going to do is let's make a little beat here. I'm going to duplicate this out, and I'm going to go ahead and hit play on this. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's use this one here. Okay, boom. Cool, like that. And I'm just gonna build this up. Here we go. And I'm not gonna make this like super complicated. I'm just gonna kind of do it like this. And I'm just making all of these 2 bars. And I'm just gonna go in here. And if we wanted to, we could just go ahead and straight this across. This is gonna be super boring. Cool. Let's duplicate that out again. Cool. I'm just plugging some things in here. And if we wanted to make it even shorter, like more kind of drilly, like that, we just go ahead and keep adjusting our grid here. What I did was I just changed this grid to 30-second notes. And the faster the grid, the more drilly it's going to sound. Cool. And so we can do that right there, but just by penciling stuff in. All right. And that's all well and good. We can do that, and we can put in our bass line here. And let's go ahead and put our bass in. Where's our bass? Here, we got the... Okay, so we're going to do this in here. We're going to put that in. And let's take our bass and put that on top of our bass drum here. Cool. And let's see, where's our bass drum? There's our bass drum there. I'm going to pull this up so I can see more of it. Our bass drum is all the way down there. All right, so let's see where. Okay, so I just put this in focus mode. I can still see my bass drum down there, so I'm just gonna put in here. Boom, turn that up like that, and let's go. Cool. Cool, let's make this twice as long. And I'm gonna take this, put that one back. Cool, duplicate it out again. Awesome. We can take this bass drum here. Let's take the kick drum, and we're on the kick drum now. Let's go in here to the kick drum. Let's make this one also twice as long, and take these out. And what I'm going to do to take these out is I'm just going to hit 0 on the ones I don't really want. Duplicate this out one more time, so we're just like following that bass drum or the bass line. There we go. And we can hear that the front of the attack is coming from the bass drum, and the length is coming from that bass. Let's take this bass and let's get a little bit less high end on it. There we go. Cool. So we can do it that way, or we can also do it this way by putting a filter on top of it. Come on, where are you? There you are. Okay, so we got these two here. We got the kick drum and the bass kind of working together. Because we're clipping our output there, and some people don't mind doing that. I'm not a huge fan of doing that. I would turn all this stuff down a little bit. I'm going to keep it loud right now. So you can hear, we can see how we've kind of put these things together. What I've done is I clicked on this bass drum clip, and I hold down Command and click on the bass line clip, and now I can see both of them down here in the bottom here, and I can just focus on whichever one. I mouse over this line right here, and it lets me click on one or the other, and I've got them folded down, so I'm just seeing the notes that I'm working with here. And so if I want to mess with my bass, my kick drum, I got this here. If I want to mess with my bass line, I've got this one here. And now let's go in here to the hi-hat part. The hi-hat part, this is fine as far as it goes. It's not really playable though. Like, I'm not having fun with it. I have to know what I'm doing, and that's like whatever. So let's set this hi-hat up so I can actually have more fun with it. So far, this is pretty basic stuff. Nothing super fancy, not super interesting. But let's make this hi-hat more interesting here. And what I'm going to do that is I'm going to use these hi-hat parts that I've got. That one right there. Let me put my record on here. I like this one. This one's also okay, but I really prefer this one here. And so what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to take this one and I'm going to make a roll on it. Now this is something that I found on a YouTube video. I'll put the link in the clip. I forget his name. It's the dude with the Muppet. He's really good. His videos are awesome. I highly recommend watching his videos. And this is something that I discovered from him, and I'll link to that video in this when I put this up on YouTube later. But what I'm gonna do is I'm going to use the idea that you can put anything into these pads. Remember, these pads are just kind of like holders for anything that you want. So what I'm going to do in here is I'm going to go in here. I'm going to put a MIDI effect, the arpeggiator, and I'm going to put the hi-hat on a different one. So let's use F. So I'm going to hold down Option and drag my hi-hat over like this. Hi-hat closed, drag it over, put F1. So F1 now has this. Where are you, F1? There we go. Has that. But what I want to do is I want to make it so it rolls. And to make it roll, I'm going to drag an arpeggiator onto this pad here as well. Now an arpeggiator, what an arpeggiator does is an arpeggiator will play the note repeatedly, and any notes that you have held down, like if you have a chord or something, it'll play those notes. Let me just show you what I mean by this real quick. If I put another instrument in here, let's just put some kind of a analog type of lead sound thing. Let's put a synth lead in here. Okay, so this one right here, I'll just throw this one in here, and let's throw an arpeggiator onto this thing here, and check this out. This is what an arpeggiator kind of does. Normally, if I hold down one key, it plays that one key repeatedly. If I hold down two keys, it'll play those two keys repeatedly. And I can play like this. So in such a way, here, let me hold it a little bit better. So I can play like this here. Right? Like that. So that's what an arpeggiator does. And what we're going to do is we're going to harness that power to make these hi-hats do different things, okay? Because you can change the speed. So if I go in here and I say, let's do like this, I can change the rate. You know. Right, so we can do different stuff like that, which is pretty cool. Let me get rid of this because we don't want that in there. So that's what an arpeggiator does, and what we're going to do is we're just going to use that to control this hi-hat. So I go over here, hit this, and now with this one, why are we not? Oh, we're in the wrong octave. So I'm just going to have this set up so different ones have different speeds for right now. So we got that one there, it's just 8th notes. So if I hit play on this, let's go ahead and stop this. So I've got my 8th notes right there. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take this and hold down Option and drag the whole pad over to G. And now with this arpeggiator, I'm going to change this one to 16th notes. And we're just going to make each one a little bit faster, set to whatever rhythm you want. I'm just going here to the rate. And let's set that for that. So I got this one here is 16th. Wait, no, sorry. This one here is, what am I clicking on here? This one here is, sorry. This one here is going to be 8th notes. This one here is going to be 16th notes. And this one here is going to be 32nd notes. And if we want to get really crazy with it, drag that over to B1. This one here is going to be 64th notes. And if you want to have like a row of some triplets, let's put the triplets on these the black keys here. So this one here is eighth notes. So this one here will be triplet eighth notes, which would be this one, I think. Yeah, there we go. So this is eighth notes. You know, so we've got that in there. I'm gonna let's just make these triplets here. This one here is going to be 24th. There we go. And this one here will be the crazy ones. And I mean, these are kind of like getting into ludicrous speed. But now what I'm doing is every time I hit a note here, whoa. Hold on a second. Things are falling off the bench over here. So every time I hit a note here, it's a different... And what we can do is we can also control our pitch of these. So if you wanted to have it be like the kind of old school ratchet thing where the faster ones are like a little bit of a higher pitch, we'll just go over here to our transpose. You know, maybe. We can actually also just like map that to a key on the keyboard. Let's go ahead and just put that up. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, you can tell that I don't really do trap. I'm not much of a trap person. I'm not going to transpose this. I thought I was going to. Let's do it with the snare drums. But it's a pretty cool thing right here. And I think, can we set this up to groove a little bit differently style? I don't think so. I would like it for every other one to be a little bit softer, but I don't think it does that. Also, I'm going to turn my velocity off here. I don't need these to be velocitized. So, turn the velocity down for all of these. There we go. Cool. Awesome. And each one will be turned up a little bit because they're... Let's see. Awesome. And so now what I can do is I can just hit record in one of these. 2, 3, 4. You know, which is whatever. It's, you know, if you're into that kind of stuff, there you go. Don't say I didn't do nothing for you. What you're going to want to do after this is you want to go in here and just quantize these so they fit right in. Let's see. There we go. Cool. And I'm going to quantize these up here. Let's quantize these to the 8th. Oh, you know what? I'm quantizing them. Yeah, let's quantize them to the 8th note. Boop, boop, boop. There we go. And now, after we quantize these to the 8th note, let's go ahead and legato them. There we go. And get rid of these doubles. These ones here can be a little bit shorter. And I'm just going to clean these up a little bit. here. Cool. And this, you know, kind of works out here. Some of these. Awesome. And you just need to clean these up. There we go. Cool. Yeah, cool. And so we just made our little hi-hat line there, just using all these little arpeggiators in here. And this is pretty cool, especially for like live stuff and things like that, because you want to be able to trigger this stuff on a stage or whatever. You want to get into it and trigger this stuff. You don't have to use the functionality of the push or anything like that. You can just do it right here, which is, I think it's super, super cool, super fun to do. And we could do the same thing with our snare drums. Let's go ahead and put our snare drums in here. So we got our snare drum here. That's our main snare drum. And let's go ahead and set up our other snare drums here. Go into our drums. Let's grab some of our 808 drums. And I don't know, do people still do this stuff with snare drums? I don't pay any attention to trap these days. But here's this 808 tight. And let's grab and put this on here. And I'll set this up basically the same way that we just set those up. And we'll put these with some pitches as well. And what I'm going to do is we're going to grab our arpeggiator. Not Max, or MIDI. Where's our MIDI? There's our MIDI. Grab our arpeggiator, drag that onto the pad. And now, why do we have this one? I don't want you. Get out of here. There we go. Cool. Wait, what happened? Oh, I don't want that. That's what I don't want. Okay. So in here, the 808, the eighth notes, and then we'll grab this one here, click on that, make that one 16th notes, grab on this one here, make this one 32nd notes, and then grab this one here and make it 64th, just really fast. And then I'm going to do the eighth, the triplets. Triplet, which is the 24th, because it was coming from the 16th. And then this one here is 32nd. It's going to go up to 48. So now we've got this here with our snare drums. And if you wanted to, let's put some pitches in here. Let's make some of these pitched. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this one, I'm going to drag it over to these three notes here. Yeah, let's put, hey, come on. There we go. And these we're going to pitch to different keys, different pitches using transpose. +5, +4, +3, you know, whatever. We can make this even higher up. Let's do +7, yeah, or maybe even an octave. Let's see what happens when we do an octave here. It sounds kind of weird. It starts to sound weird when you do that far, but let's just keep it there. A fifth and a minor third, you know, like that. So yeah, so we've got these little things in here, and I can add them on top of this. What's happened? Oh, we're not. Hold on, we're not. Wrong button. There we go. There we go. You know, whatever. I'm not Oh, and it's like, yeah, sorry. I would want to record this in a slightly different way. I'm gonna delete all that stuff because it sounds like garbage. But I hope that you are understanding and you can think of some ways to do this, especially if this kind of ratchety stuff is your thing that you're into. You know, that you can go ahead and do this. And nobody's really talking in the chat, so I don't know if y'all are into this or not. So I'm gonna actually go ahead and stop right here because it's a good stopping point. I think I've shown you some stuff, and I've also shown you that I am not a trap person, but if you are a trap person, there you go. So we've got our snares on here, which is pretty cool. You know, got that stuff there. You got your kits, you got your kicks, everything, your basses, all the stuff. So hopefully you got something out of this. We're gonna take let's do a 10-minute break here. Come back at 10:45, and we're gonna talk about automation and stuff like that. So let's go.